Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. With us today is Levi Baligod. He's the legal counsel of Benhur Luy and the other whistleblowers in the government's probe into the pork barrel scam. On September 12, Luy appeared at the Senate hearing about the scam, revealed how public funds went to alleged mastermind Janet Napoles and several lawmakers. On Monday, the Justice Department filed plunder charges against 38 individuals involved in the scam. Levi Baligod will talk to Rappler about the recent developments in the case. Thank you for coming, Levi.
Thank you for having me, Reza.
So let's talk about what this is. Oh, sorry. Please call me Maria. Please call me Maria.
I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem. So in this one now, you were private counsel for the government case. 38 people, many lawmakers in that. I mean, this is ambitious. What went through your mind when you were filing it?
Well, I did not think about the possible involvement of powerful politicians. What I thought about before was how to help this country reform the system, because I know early on that there is a defect in the system. That's why the system provided the opportunity and the incentive for certain unscrupulous politicians, government officials, and private individuals to abuse government funds intended for our farmers, our fisher folks, our students who need support from the government.
And what do you think, what do you want to do now with this case? What will this case do?
Well, we have to continue the fight so that we will have an outcome that is acceptable to the people.
It's hugely ambitious. Do you have the people to be able to fight? I mean, it names the Senate the minority leader now, the former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile, senators, lawmakers. Do you have the documentation? Do you have the legal team to put all this together?
Yes, ma'am. We have documents, we have testimonial evidence to support our claim that in fact certain politicians abused government funds and in cahoots with private business groups or individuals.
How will you function in this? You're the private counsel, and you'll be working with the public prosecutor. How will this work? How will you work together?
Yeah, I will continue shepherding the witnesses, and my only advice to them is to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because we know what is at stake here. One, we are talking about reputations or honor of people. Number two, we are talking about faith in the government and faith in the justice system. So we have to be very careful, never indiscriminate, and never reckless.
Interesting. Benhur Luy, your client, his appearance before the Blue Ribbon Committee is the first and the last. What will happen next?
With regard to the Senate proceedings?
Yes.
I believe that the Senate will continue hearing the testimonies of government officials, especially the COA and government-owned and controlled corporations which serve as conduits for the funds.
Interesting. Levi, when this landed on your lap, I guess, tell us what is it that you see here, and what made you decide to push through with this?
You know, I come from an agricultural province, Cagayan, and I know how difficult life is to an ordinary farmer. It is unacceptable for certain individuals and government officials at that to rob these farmers of the much needed support from the government. You know, our farmers are the ones who produce our food, and yet they are the ones who go hungry. That is unacceptable.
In many ways, though, the people who are your clients were themselves part of the scam. And so I guess in looking at it, when you were deciding what to do, how did you separate it was like a den of thieves, right? How did you decide who's right, who's wrong? How did you decide to take the case forward?
Well, it's good that people who have first-hand knowledge on how the scheme was perpetrated were and are willing to to support their claim that in fact government officials and Mrs. Napoles participated in a scheme, no, to siphon off government funds or divert government funds from the intended purpose. And I think they are credible enough. They can give us information where the money went eventually.
Right now, are you confident that the lawmakers involved in this scam can be held accountable?
I believe so, ma'am.
Were you, when you were starting it, were you afraid? What were you afraid of?
Well, to be honest, I never felt any. I was not scared. I was motivated more by the fact that the farmers, the fisher folks, the poor but deserving students were deprived of the much needed government support. No? So that motivated me to somehow contribute in reforming the system.
What about other things that may have happened behind the scenes? Because I know when this was already moving forward, you may have received offers. What things happened behind the scenes that you couldn't have talked about? Lawmakers who may have wanted to speak with you, Janet Napoles and her camp. What things can you tell us about what really happened behind the scenes that show you the state of our system?
Yeah, first I was approached by the lawyer of Mrs. Napoles offering me money to settle the case involving the serious illegal detention case. And with regard to public crimes like plunder, malversation involving government officials, I also receive both subtle and overt messages and acts intended to silence us.
None of this was scary.
Well, to the extent that I was told by an emissary that I should also think about the welfare of my children.
It's par for the course. You mentioned the lawyer of Janet Napoles, Lorna Kapunan?
No, Attorney Freddy Villamor.
So you were approached by that. What about lawmakers? Were you approached by any lawmakers to keep their names out?
Yeah, through their emissaries.
Emissaries. What about other sectors of society that are normally involved in dealing with the public? Media, other groups that are...
Well, I was approached by the religious sector, civic-minded people, encouraging us to continue what we are doing.
Fantastic. Essentially what you've done is opened Pandora's box. I mean, by doing this now, it will disrupt the status quo. When you said your family was indirectly threatened or directly threatened, what did you think?
Well, I have to take it seriously. That's why I also made some precautionary measures to protect my family.
You have, okay. There's criticism that this case is very selective. It only names anti-administration lawmakers, Enrile Jinggoy Estrada and Bong Revilla, when there are other senators who were actually named in the COA fund. Is this being selective? Is there still a government agenda in this?
Anybody who claims that we are selective should come forward and tell us who are the politicians that we failed to mention. Because,
go ahead.
Because so far as the accounting record of Benhur is concerned, which covers the period from 2004 to 2010, these are the only politicians who receive kickbacks from Mrs. Napoles.
But this will include also the other cases coming up, or that
yes,
we have more coming up,
yes.
right? So we expect more from that. In the case of Janet Napoles, her defense lawyers are asking for bail. What's your reaction to this? What are the chances they can get bail?
Well, it is the motion is actually a normal recourse of lawyers to test the weight of the evidence of the prosecution. So they want to get a glimpse of the evidence that the prosecution has, meaning they want to know now if the evidence of guilt is strong or weak. If eventually the court will decide that the evidence of the prosecution is weak, then it will grant bail. But if the court finds that the evidence of guilt is strong, bail will be denied. And in that case, the situation of the accused gets more untenable.
You've seen the evidence, and we've only seen the boxes of documents that were brought in by the Department of Justice when the case was filed. I mean, is the evidence strong?
Yes, ma'am, because what the whistleblowers had claimed so far had been validated by the COA report.
Some of those who were named in the case have said that the COA report alone isn't enough. Do you agree with that?
Well, the COA report is enough to establish the fact that there were irregularities in the implementation of the PDAF. With the testimonies of the whistleblowers coupled by the evidence they have,
Yes.
It makes a strong combination to support at least a finding of probable cause on the level of the ombudsman, and hopefully a conviction beyond reasonable doubt after trial in the Sandigan Bayan.
So, in your mind, what will happen next now?
With regard to
The case itself.
Well, with the cases filed with the ombudsman has two initial courses of action. First is to determine whether the evidence is enough to warrant a preliminary investigation. Or second, if the ombudsman thinks that the evidence is not yet sufficient to conduct a preliminary investigation, then the ombudsman will gather additional documents or evidence to warrant a preliminary investigation.
Interesting. It seems to me that with more time that passes, that there is a cost to both the whistleblowers and to you. What will happen if this case drags on? What will happen to your clients, for example?
Yes, ma'am. Definitely, it will be difficult for them because it will also take time before they can regain their normal lives. That's why I had an initial discussion with Secretary De Lima,
Yes.
for the Department of Justice to propose the enactment of additional rules of court,
Okay.
no, to the Supreme Court to precisely cover or comprehend the situation of whistleblowers. Because under the rules of court, there is what we call perpetuation of testimony.
Yes.
Under Rule 131. But my reading and understanding of that rule applies only in civil cases.
Let's be specific about that rule. Perpetuation of testimony means exactly what?
Meaning,
Even if
the
they're not,
court can already take the testimony, no, of witnesses by
Even
way
if they're
of
not there.
deposition.
Yes. Yes.
So that we will preserve the testimony of that witness, so that when trial comes, we will just submit the transcript of the deposition.
Without having them there. Because, for
Yes.
example, in the Ampatuan case, what we saw was many of these witnesses started being
Disappearing.
targeted, disappearing, being killed, right?
Yes, ma'am. That's why if the Supreme Court can fill up the lacuna in the rules of court by allowing the deposition, the taking of the deposition of whistleblowers already, then the faster that they can recover their normal lives. And second, it will also diminish the threat to them,
Correct.
because the testimonial evidence is already there.
There's really bad case studies, bad examples for whistleblowers. They've really lost their lives in the Philippines. In the United States, you can be a whistleblower and then there's a program where you can change your identity and move on to different parts. Is there anything like that in the Philippines?
There's none in the Philippines.
What will happen to your clients?
After this exercise? Well, I hope that there will be remedial measures adopted by the Supreme Court to help also the whistleblowers regain their normal lives, to lessen the burden to them.
Correct. Yes. What about for yourself? You've gotten these offers. People know who you are. How has it affected your life? How will this case affect you?
I still live the usual. I'm living a normal life, no? As if nothing happened. But of course, we have to be careful. We have to observe some security measures. We must be evasive. We avoid the patterns.
I know those same things. Were you offered security by the court?
By the Department, of
Department
Justice, and even by the Philippine National Police, but I declined.
Why?
Well, it will be difficult for me as well as for my children, because I think my children will be unnecessarily alarmed.
That's true. Yes.
When suddenly they see police escorts or security people inside my house.
How important is this case to the country?
Well, it is very important in the sense that we will be able to put out a lesson for everybody that, one, even if you are an ordinary citizen, you can help this country.
Yes.
We want our people to believe that they are not left without recourse to redress their grievances. Imagine, these are only 6 ordinary Filipinos with truth only.
Yes.
With them, and it has triggered some changes. It is very interesting to see now the reflexive relationship between the ordinary Filipino,
Yes.
the society, and the government.
Yes. It's tilting. I mean, you had the hashtag Million People March,
Yeah.
triggered by a lot of this. There are a lot of questions coming in now from social media. Let me throw some of them for you. From Facebook users, CGC, this sounds like she's frustrated. We're now so tired and fed up with all the investigations done on alleged scams committed, even from previous administrations, that lead to nowhere. ZTE, NBN, Chief Justice Corona was actually ousted. Now we have this PADAF scam. Will this too be flowing down the drain once the dust has settled?
Yeah, I hope not, because this time we were able to rekindle the spirit of patriotism among our people. We want to contribute in bringing back decency in government. We want our people to redefine what a Filipino is by helping out this country.
You sound very idealistic, and I hope that you are right, and I hope that this case will do that. But from @grabe_kurakot on Twitter, if the case drags on past the presidency of Aquino, what assurance will people have that the continuation of the case is unhindered?
Yes, precisely. We have to. Election is upcoming.
Yes.
And we have to be very discriminate in selecting our next leaders, especially the president.
Yes.
We have to select a president with a known track record of fighting graft and corruption. If we will put a president who is perhaps a friend to these responsible officials, then definitely we can expect either a dismissal or acquittal of the cases that we have so far filed.
Which in your mind has enough to stand on, enough evidence to prove that it case. From @XXMSB, Mr. Baligod, what is your working timeline in relation to the case from the filing through the ruling?
Well, I cannot speculate on how long the case will take, because remember, there are several accused.
Correct. 38 now, yes.
And perhaps there will be an equal number of lawyers, with each lawyer having his or her own strategy.
Yes.
But if the plunder cases will prosper, meaning they are filed with the Sandigan Bayan, I can expect that there will be no dilatory tactics resorted to by the defense lawyers, because their clients are in jail.
Yes.
So it will be to their advantage to expedite
yes.
the cases.
The ombudsman said it won't be more than a year. Do you agree with that?
I hope so, ma'am.
Sergio Cruz is asking, what is your take? This is from Twitter, @Sergio2000. What is your take in the senator's defense that they are not responsible for the unauthorized actions of their staff?
Well, that is the common defense that is being pronounced by the legislators. It's very difficult to believe that because, for example, their PDAF worth millions. No? We know that if there is anything more important to a legislator, it is his or her PDAF.
Yes.
And another defense that they are expressing is that their signatures were allegedly forged in certain
Correct.
documents.
Yes.
Well, we have to compare their signatures with their signatures appearing on other legislative documents that they signed.
Yes.
Are these documents also falsified?
Interesting. Are there politicians who are supporting you or are helping you in this?
There's none, ma'am. And I made sure that there is no politician or any interest group behind us. That's why at the very beginning, I made it a point to bring this issue to the proper agency of government, which is the Department of Justice. We did not seek the support of any politician or media outfit.
It's fantastic. What about, again, bumping up this other question that came through is just, you only had the anti-administration, the opposition lawmakers named in this. Is that because of the amount of evidence that they were able to put together? There were other administration candidates who were named in the COA report, but they're not named in the case. Give us some insight into how these lawmakers were chosen.
We were only guided by what the evidence showed us. No? And again, anybody who says that we are not mentioning any name
Yes.
should come forward
Yes.
and tell us that we are wrong. If they have evidence in their possession, they should come out. But insofar as the whistleblowers that I am representing are concerned, these are the only legislators in their record.
I see. So in your area of influence, you basically said this earlier, you want to keep it free from political vested interests.
Yes, ma'am.
And this seems like an easy question, but why? Why did you keep it away from politicians? Why did you decide to keep the 6 whistleblowers?
The integrity of the process is more important than our needs of, for example, support for the reproduction of documents,
Yes.
fuel, food for our whistleblowers. We give more emphasis to the integrity of the process. We do not want it blemished or influenced by partisan political interest.
This is your guidance to your clients.
Yes, ma'am.
Why? Why did you decide that the integrity of the process is the most important thing?
Well, because this is a rare opportunity for us to bring to justice powerful people. So we want people to regain their confidence in the system, trust in the justice system. We want them to know that our justice system is working. Because we have had several incidents before designed to reform the system. We have coups d'etat.
Yes.
We have revolutions. We have the longest armed struggle in Asia and in the world.
Yes.
But these are proven to be ineffective. But here we are, 6 ordinary Filipinos with truth in their hands, able to spark patriotism among our people, able to convince the government that actions should be taken to reform or improve the system.
Levi, I'm curious, what is your background that you have faith in a system that has failed so often?
We have to, because if we lose faith in our government, in our system, then we lose everything. We cannot have a country anymore to protect our rights. No? It's very important to help really our country move forward.
What gives you that faith, and why are you what you've been saying now is actually, it shows you're idealistic, and you have enough faith in the system. I mean, where do these values come from? Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, perhaps what I am now, or my outlook, was shaped by my training in the UP Corps of Cadets. For 4 years, we were trained to love our country, to observe honor in everything that we do, and to render duty to this country. And also, I am a member of the Freemasonry, where certain values are taught us.
Yes.
To love this country, to protect the innocent, to shield the poor. And I think the lessons I learned from the UP Vanguard, UP ROTC, and Freemasonry guided me in my actions.
Certainly more power to you, to the path that you're following. But here's some day-to-day questions. Supporting the whistleblowers, if you didn't go to politicians or influential people who can help support them, if the witness protection program hasn't kicked in yet, that takes money, that takes the ability to protect them all. How are you doing this?
Well, I talked with my law partner, and we pooled our resources to support the whistleblowers, to support this exercise. And so far, okay naman kami.
Wow.
We're doing good.
Are you doing this? This is actually a question from social media from Boboy M. Campos. Are you doing pro bono legal service for the
Yes,
whistleblowers?
ma'am.
Pro bono.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are funding this yourself. Are you asking for help from crowdsourced funding, perhaps?
No.
Or would you like
Actually,
to?
we are declining. There are
You're
so
declining.
many offers.
Yes. Why?
But, as I said, we have to maintain the integrity of the process. We do not want later on to be blamed that certain sectors influenced our actions.
More power to you. We are actually now at a crucial stage. You know, this week the case has been filed against the 38th, and there are more cases that will be coming up. How will you retain control now that it's gone to the Department of Justice and the cases have been filed?
Well, this is a clear case of division of labor. You have citizens reporting what they know to the proper government agency, and that government agency took action.
Yes.
And now the Department of Justice forwarded the documents to the Ombudsman, the proper office that will have to make a final review of these documents before cases are filed with the Sandigan Bayan. Division of labor.
You are so idealistic. Let me, you mentioned this, you said you've gotten offers. Can I ask you specifics? What kinds of offers? From whom? What have you gotten? And you've said why you've said no, because you want to maintain integrity, but...
Well, from my fraternity, the UP Vanguard,
yes.
it offered both financial support and support for security, but I declined. There were also supports from other non-government organizations, like the Management Association of the Philippines.
Yes.
Yeah. But I said we're still doing okay.
How long do you think you can maintain this?
Well, ma'am, the remaining work is to finish the second and third batches of government officials, and perhaps by October we're done.
So if you're done by October, then I guess what happens to the whistleblowers, the lives of the whistleblowers, and your own life?
Actually, I already talked with them that they have to engage themselves in economic activities so that they can support themselves throughout the litigation.
Fantastic. Well, let me just ask you for your last words. You're actually, your values, at least in terms of what you've said, maintaining the integrity of this has actually been paramount in gaining credibility for it. What does this all of this mean now for you? What do you want to do next?
Well, all of us can help this country. Our country needs a lot of help. No? We have to keep the faith. We have enough remedies to redress our grievances, especially within the democratic process. And we really have to be, if I may say it in Tagalog,
Please, sir.
dapat bawat Pilipino ay karapat-dapat na matawag na Pilipino.
Galing naman, no? I have to give the last question to at Grabe Kurakot kasi ang gaganda ng mga tinatanong niya ho dito eh. I'll throw two for you from him. Attorney Baligod, have you thought of penetrating the political realm and bring about the significant changes needed in the current system? And his last question, or I'm assuming it's him, how do you seek change and what lessons do you want the Filipinos to learn from the PDAF scam actually?
Yes, first about myself entering the political realm. Well, this is a lesson for everybody that you can be of help even if you are an ordinary citizen. You need not join politics to help
change.
this country.
Yes.
Yeah. And second, as I said, I have to emphasize that every Filipino should contribute in helping out this country.
Thank you, Attorney Levi Baligod. It's been fantastic speaking to you. More power. Good luck in the days ahead. We've been speaking with Levi Baligod. He's the legal counsel of the whistleblowers on the pork barrel scam about the latest developments in this case, the emphasis on the integrity of the process, and his personal goals. I'm Maria Ressa. Continue tweeting questions to us. We'll get them to him. Thank you for joining us. You are very...